Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mike David here at Universal Mind, Body, Soul, and today's topic is going to be how to get yourself out of debt using the money jar system and never be broke again. So basically the money jar system, some of you may have heard it before, or also referred to as the money bucket system. And so for those of you that don't know, I went to school taking business, majoring in finance. Now, that's not something that I was very passionate about. When I went to school, I was just really looking to get out and just get into the workforce and really start kind of hitting the hay and start making some money and paying down my student loan debt. So in college, truthfully, I didn't really know what I wanted to take per se. I did know that I just wanted to kind of get out, make some money, and pay off my student loans fast. And I thought by doing that, by taking finance, it would have probably speeded things up a lot. Not the best decision I ever made. Hey, you know what? It happened. No big deal. I learned from it. It's one of those things that was just kind of a learning lesson for me. But nonetheless, I did find out and learned some pretty good methods on finance and money and investments and how to allocate your funds and how to grow it and whatnot. So I did learn some pretty good tricks. And one of the things I did learn was the money jar system. And I can reference this from a couple of books. One in particular, I believe, was The Richest Man in Babylon. I actually picked it up from a system in that book there. A great book, fantastic book. So anyway, so the money jar system is basically taking a percentage of your income. Now that can be monthly, that can be every 2 weeks. And you're basically diversifying it into separate funds. And we're going to kind of talk about that in a few minutes here, but what you're doing is basically consistently, month after month, is putting these into separate jars or accounts. And you're taking a percentage of that income and separating it into these separate ones to save for investing, to save for retirement, to save for something that you maybe want to save for, like a holiday or a new car or something like that. So a really good effective system that's really helped me that I'm going to share with you today. So ideally, so how it works is you take about 50% of your income, okay? And you're going to be allocating that to your automatic expenses, your necessities, your home, your rent, your car payment, insurance, bills, things like that, food per se. So you're going to automatically kind of have that automatically taken out, and that's already kind of dealt with. So we're going to just kind of go with basic math here, a hypothetical number. Let's say you got $1,000 coming in every 2 weeks, okay? So what you're going to do is take about 10% of that as a good starting point. So 10% being $100 is going to be coming off and going to be allocated into about 5 different jars, okay? And I'll show you which one we're going to start with here. So 50% of your income, like I mentioned, is going to be towards your necessities jar. Well, this isn't going to be the jar. This is going to basically be the automatically you don't really do anything with, because this is coming off regardless. So that's going to be for bills, mortgage, rent. Okay, so you can kind of get the idea with that. So 50% of that's going to go towards your major expenses. Now, the first jar is going to be, and we're going to start like I mentioned here, let's say $1,000. We'll just kind of keep it simple here. So 10% of that, $100, is going to go towards your savings to spend jar. All right, so your savings to spend jar is going to basically be for something like a holiday, a new car, a new TV, something that maybe you need something repaired around the house. That's kind of a major expense that you don't quite have the funds yet, but you can save towards it by doing this for the next several months, couple of years, whatever the case may be. Now this is something that you're not going to touch. It's something that you're going to basically save until you actually have and actually are able to afford that item, that TV or that new car or whatever the case may be. So that is ideally going to be something that's going to be just not touched, all right? All of these are going to be pretty well the same type of system is going to apply. So the next one is going to be your 10% of something called the play jar. Okay? Now your play jar is going to basically be your leisure time. It's going to basically be your leisure outside entertainment, if you will. If you want to go hang out with friends, you want to go, go have a night out, birthday or movie, whatever the case may be, whatever it's going to be your entertainment. I know it's not much. I know it's only $100, but at the same time, we're only dealing with $1,000 here. So I'm trying to show you just a basic, simple method that when your income starts to eventually grow, you can eventually make this bigger as well. But since we're only using $100, you really got to try and commit yourself to it and try and really use some self-discipline. Especially if you want this to grow, but eventually this will grow exponentially. So we're going to start with $100. Very simple to use, very easy to apply method. Okay. Next, we're going to have 10%, and the next jar is going to be your giving jar. Okay. This is super important too, because life is giving. All of life is really giving. And when you apply $100 towards your donations, your charitable work, or helping others in some way, shape, or form, because what you put out there will eventually come back. So donations are big and important too. And if you can give away $100 now towards giving, you'll be able to give more down the road, and then you'll be able to also get more. So it kind of goes both ways, right? So definitely something to keep in mind, definitely something to do for sure. Your next one is going to be, and this one is a very big one. This one's going to be 10% going into your passive income jar. I hope you guys can see that okay. I'm trying to write as legible as I can here, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. So your passive income jar is going to basically be your investments, your business that you want to set up, or stocks, or something along the side that's going to basically contribute to bringing in more revenue to your income, okay? And it's going to, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in real estate, you can invest in a different type of system that eventually will help you grow your income. So whether that be whatever choice you want, this is going to grow year after year, because eventually you want to have this part grow so you can eventually start adding more. So for example, $1,000 for the 1 year will become $2,000 the next year if you contribute to this, because you will notice that it start to grow exponentially. And this will become $200 that you start contributing to every single month. So the idea is you don't want to stop as you kind of reach certain goals. You want to keep doing this as you start growing your income and you start getting out of debt and you start looking at things in a different way, because you're starting to see money starting to grow, and it's all because of your own system. Another thing I would also recommend as well is the fact that you want to have this committed 100%, is to automatically have it set up through your banks to have it automatically withdrawn. So if you have it automatically withdrawn from your banks, you don't see it, you don't touch it, you don't have any temptation or any urges to spend it on whatever, other than sticking to this actual platform here. Strongly recommend that. Okay, so which brings us to our last jar, and that is going to be your savings security jar. This one is, I would say, probably the most important. A lot of people don't have enough to cover 3 to 6 months expenses, especially during times like this with this pandemic. If something kind of just happens, you don't have enough to kind of have 3 to 6 months expenses. It's definitely something you want to think about and consider it as a primary motivating factor when you're saving money. Okay, definitely want to have this cover at least 6 months of expenses before you start getting into investing. So, and I should also point out too, I'm not a financial advisor. I went to school taking finance. I have nothing to do with the financial industry, But I also do know that this has been a very big part of my life. I've applied it in my own life. It definitely works. So I'm just kind of giving you some tips on things that have helped me, but in no way, shape, or form am I a financial advisor. So I just kind of want to point that out there. Kind of a little bit of a disclaimer there. So, and another thing too is if you have major credit cards, you want to actually make sure that you pay that down first, because when your average credit card is about 19-20% debt, you want to ideally pay that down first. So that would kind of apply into your 50% necessities. So you want to take care of that first. So I should almost just kind of jot that in there too, credit cards, for everybody to see. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. So that's super important. Pay that down first, and then basically it's paying yourself first. All right. And yeah, ideally if you can stick with that for the next couple of years, you will definitely get yourself out of debt. And then if you can continue it, you'll definitely see the income starting to grow exponentially. And yeah, and then you'll definitely notice you'll have a lot more play money to kind of do with whatever you want, and you'll notice that your income will start growing year after year after year. So this will become $1,000, and then year 3, let's say, you know, $3,000, and then you could start applying. If you want to stick with 10%, and then that becomes $300 every single month. You kind of see where I'm going with that. So you get the idea when you start making more, you can apply more, and then everything else kind of grows. So it's a really good, simple system to follow. Highly recommend it. That's all I pretty much have for you today. So if you'd like to follow for more information, some more great tips, hit the subscribe button below on my channel there, and don't forget to follow my social media links there as well on the bottom. And yeah, if you want to get in touch with me as well, would like my help personally on some other related issues, that you can follow all my content. You can also join my email newsletter at universalmindbodysoul.com.